Welcome to PCMC. I am your host, Mike Mangiano. I am joined today once again with Vin Forte.
Oh my God!
How are you, Vin?
I'm good. I'm loving the vintage seltzer over there. I love that design.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
I'm a sucker for like old food wrapping that hasn't changed over the past like 30 years.
You and Mark Summer.
Yeah, exactly.
You're all about Unwrapped.
Yeah, we're all about Unwrapped.
Cool.
Like, I love...
I thought you were going to say the vintage Star Wars toys on the wall, but you were like, nope, the seltzer bottle.
No, yeah, the seltzer. the 89-cent seltzer bottle on the table.
Yeah.
Because it's just like what year of design is that?
Oh, God, I don't know. It looks like
50s?
Wonder Bread.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. It looks very Wonder Bready.
Yeah. So today's episode is an interesting one. It's one I've been thinking about for a while. It's one that's been percolating in my mind for a while. And what we're going to talk about is interviews. And not job interviews.
Nope.
Interviews in media. Because something you and I have in common is we both are fans of David Letterman. Mm-hmm. And we're both sort of pop culture man children. Mm-hmm. And there's just a lot of old interviews that I like. Sometimes I'll get on a sort of jag where I fall down like a Dick Cavett YouTube hole.
Yeah.
And I just wanted to chat with you about like some of our favorite interviews. I didn't want to do like a top because there were too many. I have too many in mind, and a lot of them would be Letterman. Because I think Letterman is one of the best shows ever. Mm-hmm. The original Letterman. Yeah. And even the early CBS days. Mm-hmm. So the first one that comes to mind when I think about classic interviews is Crispin Glover on Letterman.
Oh, I'm strong. I could kick.
Yeah. He comes out. This is the old Letterman show. And this was when Letterman was... This is pre-Letterman on antidepressants.
Yeah.
So this is like not...
He's just like having none of it.
Yeah, it's not new wise man with a beard Zen Letterman. It's old edgy Letterman. And he was easy to piss off back then. And Crispin Glover comes out basically in a costume. He played this weird performance character called Mr. Farr.
Well, no, it was from a movie.
Oh, was it really?
Didn't
he make that movie?
He may have had something to do with it. The movies that when I think of Crispin Glover making movies, it's the like very David Lynchian. I think they're called like his movies are called like What Am I or like What Is This?
Yeah. Oh, he had an album called What Is the Answer?
Yeah, What Is the Answer? Where like if you knew the answer, you could call the number on the back.
Right, and that's where Clowny Clown comes from. If you want to see the most frightening thing ever made,
Clowny Clown.
Clowny Clown by Crispin Glover.
It's a music video, and that character shows up in it.
Yes, that character
and
is in it.
And it's just like it's just so like David Lynch would love to have made this.
Yeah, it's so weird. And disturbing because it's about clowns.
Yeah, it's...
So he comes on Letterman, and he's wearing a really weird, obvious wig and, like, bell-bottoms, which was not the style in the 80s. And he is immediately, like...
He has, like, a rock collection, too.
Yeah, and in the original Letterman, like, if you're not playing along immediately, Dave is trying to get you to fuck up. You know, Letterman, you could see in Letterman's eyes where he was just like, all right, what the fuck are you doing? And he's like, I'm strong. And then he like gets up and starts doing like, he looks like he's high. We should say that. I think he looks like he's on acid or something. Mm-hmm. He's like way tripping out. And he gets up and he starts like doing these like not very impressive like kicks. Mm-hmm. But he almost kicks Letterman in the face.
Yeah, and then Letterman's just like, all right, we're going to go to commercial.
He immediately throws to fucking break. And then he comes back and he's fucking gone.
Yeah.
And it was one of the classic it's a classic interview. You can look it up on YouTube. It's very, just look up fucking Crispin Glover Letterman. It'll come up immediately.
Yeah. If we're talking about Letterman interviews, someone did it's not a supercut because they put all the interviews together, but it's all three of Harmony Korine's interviews on Letterman.
Which one? Who's Harmony Korine now?
He's the director. He directed Kids in the 90s. Or he wrote Kids and then he directed Gummo. And he just directed that new Matthew McConaughey movie, The Beach Bum, and he did Spring Breakers as well.
Oh, so he's that.
But he was like 19.
How are those interviews?
Very weird because he's just like very awkward.
Yeah.
Throughout all of them, and like Letterman's asking him like, so how'd you get this movie made? And he's like, well, I don't. beats me. And like the crowd's like loving it. Like they're really into like his awkwardness. But he's also like this very peculiar person because Letterman's asking him like, well, what was your inspiration for like this part of the movie? And he's like, well, you know that I'm really inspired by like, you know, that African American actor Stepin Fetch. And he's like bringing up Stepin Fetch references, and like he's talking about like he's writing a book about race riots and
what the fuck.
Yeah, he wrote a book called A Crack at the Race Riot.
Don't all his movies have like kids fucking? Doesn't he have like weird sexual shit in his movies?
Yeah, very avant-garde, very weird.
Yeah,
and he talks about like, so what was this scene about? Like this movie's very like it's about kids. Like, what were some of the inspirations? And he's like, well, I knew this guy named like Parquet, and he got a barbecue skewer stuck up both his ass cheeks. And,
what era of Letterman is this?
Like early CBS.
Early CBS, okay.
And then he does 2 more interviews, and then he gets banned from Letterman forever.
Oh, really? How'd he get banned?
This was just a rumor for a long time. At the end of this like clip, this like supercut. It's like a James Franco interview from Letterman because Franco is promoting Spring Breakers, and Franco brings up like, "Yeah, I heard you banned Harmony Korine. What was the deal with that?" And he goes like, "I heard this is why," and Letterman confirms it. Harmony Korine was supposed to be on an episode once, and Letterman goes to the back room and finds him like high as fuck, digging through Meryl Streep's like bag.
What?
Yeah, like her purse. Like, he went into her dressing room because she
you
was
don't do that to Meryl.
Yeah.
Well, fuck. I'm for that.
Yeah.
Good job, Letterman. There's a great old Letterman where you have, it was from the old show, the NBC show, which is now Seth Meyers' show. And he's got on Harrison Ford, and this is back before Harrison Ford was fun. And Harrison Ford just sitting there, and he's just taciturn. And he's like, so, he pulls out, I think, an Indiana Jones or a Star Wars lunchbox. Letterman does. Yeah. And he's like, look at this, you're on a lunchbox here. And he's like, yeah, that's great. And he's like, yeah.
Well, it's like the Alec Guinness interview.
Oh, where he beats Alec Guinness into saying, may the force be with you?
Yeah.
Alec Guinness is there to talk about, I think, a biography he wrote. And... autobiography, and Letterman's like, yeah, you probably say the most famous line in movie history, and he's like, and everyone claps, and Alec Guinness is like, yeah, Alec Guinness famously didn't like talking about Star Wars.
Yeah.
And then Letterman's like, say it.
It's like, yeah, I know, it's like the Simpsons, like, say the line, Bart.
It almost feels like the Chris Farley show.
Yeah, like, he's remember when you were in Star Wars?
He's like, say it, and he's like, he doesn't want to, and then Letterman keeps pushing him, and he like rolls his eyes, and he's like, may the force be with you, and then everyone goes crazy, and he fucking his soul dies a little bit. All the Harvey Pekar.
Oh my god.
The artist of American Splendor. Those were great because he had a lot of like weirdos, like Brother Theodore.
Yeah.
Just people that would come on and Letterman would just sort of let them go.
Yeah.
Hunter Thompson.
Yeah, Hunter S. Thompson. Do you remember the Conan remote? Where Conan went to Hunter S. Thompson's ranch and like shot guns of him.
Yes. What are some of your favorite Conans?
Oh, anytime Norm Macdonald's on.
Oh yeah, Norm Macdonald would always be good on panel after his spot was over.
Yeah,
like a lot of my memories of him are. There's what was that classic interview where
with the woman from Melrose Place?
Yeah, and she was in the Carrot Top movie.
Yeah,
chairman of the board.
Yeah, well, first she's
that's
like,
the name of the Carrot Top movie,
right? But like before that, she's like. Yeah, Conan's like, yeah, you get to make out with Carrot Top in this movie. And Norm's like, the big thing with that interview is at the end, like, because he's like knocking her, he's making fun of her fucking Carrot Top in the movie.
Yeah.
And then Conan's like, oh, you know, what's the name of the movie? And she's like, chairman of the board. And Conan's like, do something with that funny boy. And then he's like, I bet the board is spelled Bored. And then just like the whole place goes unglued.
And Letterman and Conan fucking...
He just like gets up.
He like turns on his chair and Conan loses it. That's such a great... And even she laughs like, fuck, he got me.
Yeah, like,
I mean, it's such a shitty thing to do, but he was great. And now he'll come on and he'll like... Well, now he's changed his format, Conan, but the TBS Conan show, he would come out and do like one joke. Like just one joke a segment, and these long meandering jokes.
Oh, like the moth joke.
Yeah. Oh god, it's so fucking good. You can look that up.
Yeah, or just making these long stories about Andy Richter being gay.
Yeah.
Noted homosexual Andy Richter.
Old jokes, like he'd be like, I was eating my breakfast, and then Andy Richter comes in and is like, hey Andy, what are you doing? And he's like, last night I made $700.05 giving hand jobs. And he's like, oh wow, you did. Hey, who gave you 5 cents? And he goes, all of them.
Or what was the oral sex
Which is
one?
such an old, stupid, homophobic joke.
Yeah, or what was the oral sex one where he's like, my wife, she wasn't feeling so good. She was in the hospital recently. And the doc says, we tried everything. And, there is one thing. It's a little unconventional, but it might just do the trick. And he's like, Doc, I'll do anything. I'll do anything for that old battle axe. And he's like, well, in my experience, the woman will feel better if you perform oral sex on her. And he's like, okay, I'll do anything. So I go in, and I perform oral sex on her. And then I come out, and he goes, did it work? I'm like, Doc, she's choking.
Those are like street jokes.
Right.
That Norm Macdonald would repeat on talk shows. And Conan would be like, what's this crazy shit is he going to say?
Yeah.
You know who's always great on Conan? Always?
Harlan Williams.
Oh, wow. Yeah, he's good. That's what I was going to say. I was going to say Jeff Goldblum.
Oh, yeah.
Jeff Goldblum and him have a really good rapport. Yeah, almost flirty.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Because Jeff Goldblum's like, oh, you have your nice skin today.
Yeah, Conan showed him his pubes.
Yeah.
Do you remember that?
Yeah.
He was like, to the car where it smashes drapes, and Conan like stands in front of him with his back to the camera and shows him.
What about Roberto Benigni on Conan?
Oh, I don't remember that one.
Oh my god, you've never seen Roberto Benigni
what did he
on
do?
Conan? He's just like jumping all around and like acting like Roberto Benigni. And then he's just like amped up to 11 the whole interview. Yeah. And he's just like, Conan, I love you. Like, I love you, Conan. But then at the end of the episode, he's like, if you do not like my movie, I will give you my jacket. And he's like, yeah, give me a jacket. And he's like, we'll switch jackets right now. And they swap jackets, and like his jacket is like so tiny on Conan. And then like he goes, now you give me your pants. And the whole audience is like, yeah, give me your pants. And they swap pants.
Yeah.
And it's just this moment where it's like, okay, and now they're just like swapping pants.
Oh god, TV where you don't know what's gonna happen is so. That's like when late night was so good. I mean, maybe I'm old now, so I don't. I like Kimmel a little bit. I don't know. Fallon I've never liked. The thing about Fallon is, the thing about all of them is they all are made to be little digital chunks. Like, they're all like little bits that could be put online.
Yeah, I would say Colbert is the closest because he has that political bend to him still.
Yeah.
Where it's like you're going to get a real conversation. Like, I watched the Howard Stern interview.
Yeah, what'd you think of that?
That was really, really good. That was like an extended 30-minute interview.
Yes.
And like you learn a lot from it.
Yeah. But Stern himself has some great interviews. Do you remember when he interviewed Julia Roberts?
Oh, didn't she like leave?
Well, I don't know if she left, but it was like a big deal because he couldn't get her for so long because she was scared, and like she didn't say anything for like the first 20 minutes, and then like eventually he just starts doing the shit that she was afraid he was gonna do. Like, you shave yourself, and like all that shit he was famous for in the. But he's gotten better over the years, and it's less about that. It's less about the sexist shit now. Like he had on like this year recently Paul McCartney. And McCartney gave the most honest answer to why the Beatles broke up than he's ever given. And he was like, yeah, it's Yoko, and here's why. And we were all doing this, and John was doing this, and it was just like, wow, like, you got
him to do it.
Yeah, he got him to just be like, fuck it. At this point, I'm just going to give you an honest answer.
Yeah.
And I think I've heard people talk about being on his show, and like he's on, so you come in while he's on. Yeah. So you're immediately like, put on your heels, and then they throw a mic on you, and then he almost rope-a-dopes you. Or he would in the old days. He would just talk to you for a long time and like throw stuff at you and compliment you, and then like throw a curveball at you, and like he would get crazy stuff out of people.
Yeah. I would say this interview only aired once because there was one episode of the show. Mm-hmm. The Orson Welles Muppet interview.
Oh, with him and who was he talking to?
He was talking to Frank Oz and Jim Henson.
Yes,
but like they had the puppets with them, but like you could still see them.
Yeah.
Like it was very
it
weird.
was like it was like very old. It was very overly directed. That show. It was a pilot. And
it was shot in the round.
Yeah.
Like.
And they're on basically they're on the stage with the puppets, but then there's like an old fashioned like spotlight. And the spotlight is on the puppets. So like you can see the puppeteers, but there's no focus on them.
Yeah.
Yeah, he also had Andrew Dickinson on that episode.
Oh yeah, of course.
We'll be back with the incomparable Andrew Dickinson.
And Burt Reynolds, his good friend.
He's somebody that annoys me now, but Bill Maher had a lot of great interviews. And someone else that annoys me, but I like their writing, even though I disagree with them a lot, was the late Christopher Hitchens. And there would be a lot of, especially during the early Iraq War, Hitchens would be really good in it. Do you remember when Hitchens got in a fight with
Mos Def?
Yes. And he was like,
Mr. Definitely.
Mr. Def, can I call you Mr. Def? And I forget what Mos Def said. And, you know, that show's weird because it's a panel and then, like, they bring on another guest. But the next guest they bring on is always, like, a celebrity who doesn't really know anything.
So it's like, we're going to bring on Margaret Cho.
Right.
What?
And so Mos Def starts talking about whatever. And then Christopher Hitchens is like, you know, you sound like a man who has no idea what he's talking about. Or something like that. Yeah. And you can see Bill Maher's like, ugh. And it gets really... really contentious. There was also there was a lot of good moments on Real Time. It's like amazing to me that that show's still on.
Yeah,
because he doesn't fit anymore. Yeah, when because Bill Maher's Islamophobic.
Yeah,
you know, I'm an atheist, but when your atheism takes the form of Islamophobia, you're couching it in a certain xenophobia.
Well, the thing I hate about Bill Maher is he's one of these guys that's always like, you know, these college kids and, like, you know, the young people think they know what's going on. It's like, yeah.
Yeah, they do.
Yeah, you're just fucking out of touch.
Yeah, I'm sorry that you can't work at colleges anymore. People don't want to laugh at your homophobic jokes anymore.
Yeah.
I feel that way about Seinfeld, too. I can't stand Seinfeld anymore.
Oh, God, the Michael Richards.
Oh, God, that Letterman. Right, well, that was so weird, Mike.
Because it was a Jerry Seinfeld interview,
right? And Michael Richards, to get the back up, Michael Richards had gotten in trouble because on stage at some comedy club, he called an African American audience the N-word and like kept leaning into it.
Oh yeah, I'm gonna string you up and like
crazy
you like
shit. And
50s,
and somebody recorded on their phone, and it became a big scandal, as it should have. And then.
But then, like, a day later, Seinfeld just happened to be going on Letterman,
and he
basically threw to Michael Richards. Out of nowhere.
Like all of a sudden you see a screen with Michael Richards on it, and it's like, what are we doing, phone interviews now? And then everyone starts laughing, and Seinfeld's like, don't laugh, and it's like.
He's like, don't laugh. It's not funny.
Yeah, it's like, you know what, Dad? Shut the fuck up.
Yeah, it's like, you know what? It is funny. It's fucking weird.
This whole thing is weird, and
because he's on like a weird green screen, and it's like, I didn't know I was gonna see him today.
And it's like, why are you defending him?
Yeah, and also he was like, he did that thing that when people apologize for being racist, like they all do, where it's like, I'm gonna get to the center of why, like, I have these feelings for the Afro-American community.
Yeah, it's inside. Oh, right, he did. He
kept calling them Afro-Americans,
which is like, oh, dude,
just call them black people.
Yeah,
don't like this like weird like tiptoeing around. It's like, no, we call white people black people.
Yeah. Do you remember Madonna on Letterman?
Yeah, didn't she show her boobies?
No, that was
Drew Barrymore.
That was Drew Barrymore. Madonna came out and wouldn't answer questions and was being very contentious.
Oh, that's right.
And wouldn't leave. So everyone else got bumped because they're not going to physically drag you out.
Yeah.
So he threw a commercial, and then they'd come back, and she'd still be there.
Yeah.
And then he throws the commercial again. Then when they come back in the third break, he's smoking a cigar, which he smokes cigars but never on air. Mm-hmm. But I guess he was like, fuck it at this point. And then he's smoking and she's smoking too. And you could tell he wants her to leave, but he's also like, it becomes this sort of like chess game.
Yeah.
It's very weird.
Yeah, it's almost like they get Stockholm Syndrome at a certain point.
Yeah.
Where like they kind of like gain this mutual respect for each other.
And she's talking about, like, peeing in the shower. She's like, you pee in the shower?
Yeah.
Shit like that. Remember when Joaquin Phoenix was on?
Yeah, though that's
was
been
that a character?
That was a character. So like that's been deflated over the years by the fact that like it was part of that movie he did.
Yeah, but no one saw that movie.
I know.
What was that movie supposed to be?
That was the movie I'm Not There.
Yeah.
Where like I think he was playing a fictionalized version of himself, like trying to start a rap career.
Well, okay. He was just on the show. He's just kind of is not answering questions and giving one-word answers.
Well, I always said, even from like the first day that aired, that there was a tip-off at the end right before they cut to commercial when the band is playing. They cut back, and he's like shaking Letterman's hand, like, "Hey, thanks for playing along." Like
Letterman does have a great line where he goes, "Oh, I'm sorry you couldn't be here tonight."
Yeah.
But you know, it's funny. Just today, Letterman was on WTF with Mark Maron, and he said something that I never heard before. Mark Maron was like, "Tell me about Andy Kaufman," and he goes, "Oh, Andy Kaufman was such a professional. He told me everything, the whole game plan. He'd come to me and say, I'm going to say this, and then Jerry Law's going to come out, and then we're going to say that, and we're going to do that." He was like, every bit of it's planned. He never sprung anything on me. And I was... The legends you hear about Andy Kaufman was that, you know, I think that movie that they made about him like spread a lot of weird mythology about him.
Don't like that movie.
I loved it at the time, but looking at it now and knowing about fucking Jim Carrey's fucking performance...
It feels like sometimes when someone
performance on set being an asshole.
But like sometimes when performers after the fact get a hold of someone's legacy, they try and like retroactively insert themselves into that person's like timeline.
Yeah. Well, I think
Jim Carrey totally tried to do
He's like,
that.
he's living inside me. I was Andy during that time, and it's like, no, you weren't. And
like the movie is like way too. What's even the right way to? It like goes in these weird diversions.
Yeah.
And
yeah.
Makes you think that Andy Kaufman was like this weird, like, I mean, he was weird, but like, they made you think that like he was a spiritual guy.
Right. And from what you hear,
he died doing having experimental surgery on him.
What you hear from people that know him was like, it was all very crafted, and he would be real with people.
Yeah.
He was real with Letterman. Let's talk about some old interviews. Did you ever see on David Cavett the old Groucho?
Oh yeah.
This is the one where Groucho's like in the wheelchair and he's got the blanket over it and he's got on the like golf hat. I always think of it because whenever they show like old Krusty the Clown on The Simpsons, they modeled him after old Groucho, and that's one of Groucho's like talking very slowly, and it's not very funny, but it's fascinating. He had some really fascinating interviews, Dick Cavett. He had Hitchcock on, which was really great. And Hitchcock, you could get him talking, but like he had these like sort of pre-constructed tidbits, so he wouldn't really answer questions.
I'm kind of fascinated by the interviews that, not even like full interviews, but like everyone's seen like compilations of like Johnny Carson clips.
Yeah.
And like a lot of those clips, you would be like run out of town today.
Oh,
like the famous Dolly Parton one, where he's like, "I would give a year's pay to peek under your dress right now."
Oh my God!
It's like, can you imagine like Stephen Colbert or Jimmy Fallon like doing that today?
Right. Conan used to do that, and he's had to tone it down.
Right. He definitely has.
Yeah.
But even Conan was more like tongue in cheek about it.
Right. Because he was like, "I'm a big dumb nerd."
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Yeah. I always loved, when you look up Johnny Carson interviews, I always love Rodney Dangerfield is great. There's one, because Rodney Dangerfield would just come and sit on panel. He wouldn't stand. Oh, he would stand up sometimes, but he'd come and he'd sit. And he would just do his act sitting in the chair.
Oh, yeah.
And you just see Johnny Carson just sitting there, like, barely doing anything and, like, being, like, just, like, giving him stupid setups. Like, he'd just be sitting there, like, doing nothing.
You saw your doctor today.
Yeah, I heard you went to the doctor today. Oh, I heard you got in a fight with your wife. Like, he's just giving him these setups. And then, oh, God, there's one really fun one where, I forget what happens, but I think at some point, the audience doesn't laugh. And, like, he has, like, 2 bombs in a row. And whenever he would bomb, Rodney Dangerfield would go, "That's all right. That's okay. That's all right. That's all right. Okay. You know, the next one's gonna be good." And then he's bombing, and he looks at Carson, and Carson's like, "How you doing over there?" And like it's like the first real moment.
Yeah.
And he starts cracking up because it's like, you came out here like a fucking bulldozer. Keep going, bro. Like keep going. Don't let me stop you. And then of course Don Rickles was always great on. Those old shows.
Here's the thing. What are your favorite Leno moments?
Oh, okay. Cricket. Here's one that it's hard to find. Bobcat Goldthwait sets the chair on fire.
Yeah.
Without anyone knowing about it. Then I think Leno puts it out with water and makes him sit in the chair, and like you can see he's really mad at him. And then they throw the break and he's gone. And then Bobcat Goldthwait was banned from the Tonight Show. He might still be. I could see Jimmy Fallon being the kind of guy to be like, yeah, I'm going to keep it up in Jay's honor. But that was a fun moment, and of course, Hugh Grant.
Oh yeah, well that was
just the luck of the booking.
Yeah,
they had him booked, and then he got caught with a sex worker, and he was just, I guess his PR people like, just go on and talk to him, and he sits down, and the first thing he says is, "What were you thinking?" And then he just sets him up for a big apology, and that's the night. That was the first night where he beat Letterman in the ratings.
Yeah,
and then he typically after that beat Letterman, but that doesn't matter because people are stupid. Like what does ratings matter?
Yeah, that and like I just can't picture people who were watching Letterman tuning over to Leno and then like seeing it and being like,
"Oh, this is actually good."
Yeah, I'll stick with this.
Like I remember my dad being like, "I gotta watch what's going on with fucking Hugh Grant," but then he went back to Letterman.
Yeah,
we used to with the VCR tape every Letterman because my dad was a huge Letterman guy, and that's why, like, the Madonna interview, I've seen that like 7 times because we would just watch them over and over and over again. They were so good. You know, going back to Conan, though, because it's a later show and you get less A-list guests, Conan was like the first time I ever saw Martin Scorsese. Because Conan would have directors and authors and stuff, which is, you know...
people.
Yeah. Yeah, you know, it's not always like fucking Third Banana on the left on the sitcom. It would be like... I remember Martin Scorsese coming on and talking about Kundun, which is his movie about the Dalai Lama. And I was already into movies, but I had never seen Martin Scorsese. I just heard his name, and I was like, oh, this is so interesting. Yeah.
Craig Ferguson had a lot of really good interviews.
He did.
Remember when he interviewed, like, Arch Desmond Tutu and, like, won a Peabody Award?
No, I don't remember that.
Yeah, that's what he won the Peabody Award for. He did, like, an hour-long special, like, interviewing, like, Desmond Tutu.
Holy shit.
Yeah.
I don't remember that.
I feel like Craig Ferguson, like, flies under the radar in retrospect. But, like, I remember always watching his interviews.
Oh, yeah.
They just felt like conversations.
And then he would always, like, the bit was he would rip up the cards and throw them away. And then he would end the interview with, like, yeah, do you want to do an awkward silence? Do you want to do a harmonica? Yeah. Like, he would, like, do a bit. Would you like to pick a fruit?
Yeah.
That show was great, and he didn't want to do it forever.
Which I appreciate. Like, would I have wanted him to keep doing it? Yeah, but you know what? He's not Larry King in it.
Yeah. I mean, as much as I love Letterman, towards the end, Letterman was not funny at all. And, you know, you and I talk about this all the time. Stern is not funny at all anymore. No. And I don't know if I would find his 80s stuff funny now, being that I'm a more progressive person. Yeah. You know, a lot of it's very sexist. But, you know, the heyday when he was a shock jock in the 80s and 90s, you know, that it was really like fucking it was like Sodom and Gomorrah. It was like a bacchanal. It was just like, what is happening on the show? Yeah. It's chaos. Now he's like Imus. Now it's just like he doesn't crack a joke. He's very slow. It's all just these long interviews. I don't even know if they do bits anymore. I don't pay for that service.
No, I don't pay for Sirius. Are you kidding me?
No fucking way.
There was a time where I paid for it, and it
me
felt
too at
like,
the beginning.
Yeah, in the beginning, like it genuinely felt like the same feeling when your family like got cable for the first time. Yeah, and it's like, oh my god, this is gonna be like what radio is now.
But then it was like, only Howard Stern.
Right, there was only Howard Stern. Howard Stern basically like fucked over satellite radio, to be completely honest.
Right, it could have grown without him. He was an investment that they shouldn't have made.
Right, because he was like $1 billion investment. Right, and for $1 billion, they could have gotten like a million different like smaller personalities, grown them, right, and made like a couple names for themselves.
They could have paid Emilio Sparks a little more for working over there.
Exactly,
he's a board op there.
Yeah, exactly. They could have paid him a little more money. They could have.
They could have done a lot. But you were about to say before I cut you off, podcasts happened.
Yeah, podcasts happened, which are mostly free, and if they're not free, they usually have like a really good like trade-off business model where like we're going to give you 2 free episodes a week, but if you pay us like, $4 a month, like you get an extra episode.
Or a lot of people do Patreon now, where it's like, you give us a few bucks, we'll give you a couple extra episodes just for you, just for the fans.
Yeah. Like
I listen to We Hate Movies, which is a really funny show. And if you pay for their Patreon, you get a special show called Gleep Glossary, which is them reading through the Star Wars glossary of characters and just riffing on it. It's pretty funny. Well, since we're talking about podcast, Marc Maron, WTF, the first 100 of them, when he would let them go long and he didn't know what, and he was like breaking down. He clearly had mental problems. Like, those are so good, those early episodes.
Oh, yeah, because basically, like, all the guests he would get are people he had issues with.
Sure, yeah, and it'd be like, it would almost start off...
good?
Like, yeah, right. And like, are we good? Did we make up? Because sometimes it start off like we're kind of not happy with each other. The Louis C.K. episode where Louis C.K. was like, honestly, like, I needed you to be my friend when I was going through a divorce and you weren't fucking there. And then you came out of nowhere when I got famous.
Yeah.
And then Louis C.K. cried talking about his kids.
Yeah.
And everyone, I mean, now Louis C.K. is a complicated character, but that was a big moment. You also had Obama.
Yeah.
I mean, think about that. Presidents do interviews. Right. I can't think. Can you think of? You might know better than me. Has there ever been something that in depth with a sitting president? While he was president, he sat for hours
in someone's garage
and like talked for real. That, you remember he said the N-word?
Yeah.
And I remember hearing it going, "This is going to be the only thing they talk about." And it was. They were like, President said the N-word. And by the way, he was having a conversation about the N-word.
Right.
Right. He was having a conversation, like, it was this ironic conversation.
He also wore a tan suit once. So.
Oh, well, yeah, what a disgrace. Come on now. Don't wear a tan suit, It's okay to fuck a porn star where your third wife is pregnant, but, don't wear a tan suit.
Yeah, did we all forget that part in the craziness of Donald Trump? That, like...
No, because the scandal isn't even that he cheats on his wife with porn stars. It's that he pays them off.
Yeah.
It's the scandal. But Obama once got in trouble because he had a coffee cup in his hand while he saluted a Marine. Which,
meanwhile,
by the way,
Donald Trump shook hands with he saluted the fucking North Korean general.
Yeah, fucking idiot. Anyway, but going back to Stern, there's a lot of Donald Trump on Stern, and he really shows himself. He was a real sort of creep. He would get so into the whole like sexism of 90s Stern and like, this girl and that girl, and I fucked her and I got in a relationship with her and
I moved on her like a bitch.
Yeah, and Howard Stern would just like be like, this guy's fucking crazy. Like,
yeah,
this guy's got all the money in the world, but he wants fame, and that's such a scary thing because it's like this guy will go out on a limb for no reason.
Well, going back to the Maron thing, because, like, who else can he interview now? He's already interviewed, like, all the people I want him to interview.
I was saying...
I think I found the one.
Who?
And it's the one who already denied him, Jon Stewart.
Right, because Jon Stewart's like, I'm never going to forgive you.
Yeah, like, he called Jon Stewart up and was like, hey, I want to apologize to you. He's like, look, you want to apologize to me in private? You want to go out to lunch? Like, I'll do it. But, like, I'm not going on your podcast.
Yeah.
Like, it feels like you're just using me.
Yeah. Because he treated Jon Stewart like shit, and Jon Stewart is like, fuck you now.
All because of, what was that, like short attention span?
Yeah, some Jon Stewart started hosting some cable show after Maron was hosting it, so he thought he could shit on him for some reason.
Yeah.
Yeah. But those early Marons are great. There was even a Maron a couple years ago that I did not expect to like. He was interviewing Nikki Glazer, who's this great comedian. Mm-hmm. And... she's a good comedian, but she's not, like, great. I wasn't particularly interested, but she starts talking about having an eating disorder, and then Maron starts talking about having eating problems, and I have eating problems, and I think a lot of people have eating problems. And it ended up being such a good, just forget about them and her celebrity. It was like just listening to these two people talk about like, I go on this diet and that diet and I feel guilty when I have ice cream, blah, blah. And it was just like, I was just like, wow, I need to hear this conversation.
Yeah.
And that for me is like, that's what podcasts should be like,
Oh, yeah. I think people got sick of like the junket style interview.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
Of like I love the Norm Macdonald bit about how, like, Byron Allen gets all these big guests, but really he just goes to all these junkets.
Right.
And he, like, phrases things in a way that makes you know, to the untrained eye, think like he's friends with these people.
Right.
So he'll go to Harrison Ford and be like, so Harrison, last time we spoke, you were renovating your house.
Right.
And Harrison Ford doesn't want to be racist, so he says, oh, yeah, we were. Like,
that's really funny. There's a crazy interview where Peter Falk and John Cassavetes and Ben Gazzara, the three of them did a lot of independent movies together. Yeah. They were in Husbands. They were in all these Cassavetes movies. And they come on Dick Cavett, and they are drunk. Like, they are so obviously drunk. And then they're like, you want to see us wrestle? And Dick Cavett's like, what? And then they start wrestling like animals on the set. It is one of the craziest things you've ever seen on a talk show.
You just start wrestling. I want to see Peter Falk wrestling John Cassavetes.
It's amazing. Well, speaking of drunk people, do you remember fucking Danny DeVito drunk on The View?
Yeah.
That's a great one. I forget. Was that Jingle? No, not Jingle the Way.
Christmas with the Cranks?
Well, one of those Christmas movies. He was like, they were like, how was the premiere last night? He's like, last night hasn't stopped for me. I've been going all night. And he's so fucking drunk.
I love, like, watching, like, wherever Danny DeVito pops up.
Yeah.
Like, there's a great clip of, you're not going to get the reference, but, like,
maybe a listener will.
Okay, but he's friends with Mike Patton, who's the lead singer of this band, Faith No More.
Sure.
It was like a big 90s band. They're still going. And he got into them because, like, Danny DeVito's son was into them. So then, like, all of a sudden, him and Mike Patton become friends, and, like, there's videos of them, like, doing artist-to-artist interviews with each other. And then, like, someone posts this clip one day of, like, Faith No More performing, and in the background of the stage, Danny DeVito's just watching it, but he's, like, taking a picture of his foot.
What?
He's, like, Instagramming, like, his foot, like...
Okay.
It's so weird.
All right. What?
It's like Danny DeVito's just gonna do whatever he wants. Yeah, Danny DeVito also, like, super sweet guy. Like, you've ever seen clips of him, like, interviewing college kids.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
I also heard, like, he was really, like, he's kept in touch with, what's her name from Matilda? And, like,
Mara
like,
Wilson, yeah.
Yeah, was, like, really a good person to her.
Yeah.
Yeah, I like Danny DeVito. His whole career is based on one joke. His whole career is because in the first episode of Taxi,
he walks out.
He's yelling and he's like, he's a mean guy dispatcher. Then he walks out and you see he's short.
Yeah.
Like, that joke is what made this man's career. What started this man's career.
Yeah.
And then he ended up being a good director, I think.
Yeah.
What about, Larry King had some great interviews in his long tenure.
The Marlon Brando interview?
Oh my God, where he goes to Brando's house and Brando's got his shoes off. And this is older, fatter Brando.
Yeah.
And Brando's got his shoes off and he's got his feet up. And, that's the one where he goes, what Larry King goes, you know, I see your house here and there's nothing here that would indicate to me that you're an actor. And Brando's like, I don't know, who cares? And then he goes, you won some Oscars. Where are your Oscars? And then Brando's like, I think I gave one to my maid. It's like crazy shit like that. But then he makes him sing with him.
Yeah.
Remember, he's like, Brando's like, Larry, sing with me. And then he kisses Larry King on the lips.
He kisses him on the lips, yeah.
Yeah. There was a funny SNL parody of that with John Travolta playing Brando.
Yes.
This was in the 90s. Yeah. That was a great interview. He was great he did one of the last public interviews with Richard Nixon before he died. And that was really interesting because Nixon was like, he had this sort of apologetic tone to him.
Yeah.
But he also was like, you could tell he was a smart person. Like, he predicted...
he predicted Clinton winning. It was really an interesting interview. Honestly, the best Larry Kings, and I don't know, like, if there's anyone who does these not only as well, but at all anymore. Mm-hmm. The second a celebrity dies, he's like got the whole panel ready to go.
His cousin, his fucking grandson, his gardener.
You should look up. He did one when Liberace died.
Sure.
And he had like everyone Liberace knew.
Yeah.
And then he would occasionally cut to like a Liberace impersonator like out in Vegas.
Sure, why not?
And then like there's one part where I forget who. I think it was someone more famous on the panel, but I'm blanking on who it was. They were like, yeah, Liberace, you know, he wasn't the most skilled pianist. And there's like a long pause, and everyone's just like, what are you talking about? Like, he was Liberace. Like,
you know, come to think of it, Larry King has had a big influence on podcasters, right? Because Larry King was the guy who was like, I don't do any research. I'm going to sit down. I don't know what you're going to... I don't know really anything about you. I'm going to really talk to you.
Yeah.
And that's what Maron does. That's what a lot of podcasters do. They just try to find it through the conversation rather than like what Stern does, where he knows a lot of shit, but he's trying to like trap you in different ways. Yeah. But Larry King... I remember Larry King with... There's one with Seinfeld where it looks like Seinfeld's generally pissed at him, where he asks him some ridiculous question like, "Hey, is the show still on the air?" And Seinfeld's like, "What? Is my sick? Is that what you're asking me?"
That's where I like I agree with you that like going in with an inquisitive mind like Larry King is good, but also like you need to know that the show's not on the air anymore.
Yeah.
Like, yeah, because then you're just like because then you just kill the whole interview.
You just look like and you've insulted the guests.
Like if I interviewed someone who like, if I interviewed like Brian Stack again, who used to write for Conan, and I'm like, so how long you guys think you're gonna be doing late night for? Yeah, like I'd just be like, what? We did that show like 10 years ago.
Yeah, right. You just kill the whole thing.
Yeah.
One amazing publicity stunt that you can tell it was a great idea. And then the minute you try to execute it, it's nothing. Was during one of the Friday the 13th movies, Arsenio Hall had Jason on.
Oh, yeah.
And he's like, guys, tonight, Jason Voorhees.
The guy that doesn't talk.
Right. And so he, he goes, so he, just like a normal guest, is like, all right, everyone welcome Jason Voorhees. And then I guess maybe it's the actor who plays him in the movie, and he's got like, it's really good makeup. They really went out with that.
Yeah.
And he's got the machete, and he's got the Jason mask, and he's fucking acting with his body, and then he goes and sits on the couch, and he doesn't say anything because the character doesn't speak. Yeah. And then Arsenio's like, so, he asked him some bullshit question. You got a movie coming out, huh? How you like killing campers? And then Jason just looks at him and like is like breathing, like you see his chest going in and out, and it's just like, wow, this is nothing. It immediately goes nowhere.
Arsenio Hall had some crazy interviews. Remember when Tupac Shakur was on? Oh, and said that like, I think it was something to the effect of like, oh, so you worked with Janet Jackson? And he was like, yeah, fuck her if she had AIDS, or like something like that.
There was some crazy shit on that show. Remember, he had Bill Clinton on. Bill Clinton played the saxophone.
Yeah, it was
and America fell in love with Bill Clinton.
He was the first black president after that.
God, what a racist thing. Yeah, that's what everyone's calling the first black president.
Because the idea of an actual black president would never happen.
Right, and this white man must be black because he's playing a jazz instrument?
Yeah.
I don't understand. Well, but that was a big moment.
Hulk Hogan going on and talking about steroids.
Oh, I never saw that one.
Yeah, he comes on and basically like admits like everyone was doing steroids.
What about Hulk Hogan going on? Was it Letterman and Richard Belzer was guest hosting?
No, it was Richard Belzer. It was Richard Belzer's short-lived like talk show.
Oh, so he had his own talk show.
Yeah, it was Hulk Hogan and Mr. T.
Yeah,
and they want to like put Richard Belzer in a move, and he's like, "Is this safe? I don't know if this is safe." They're like, "Yeah, it's safe." Like Hulk Hogan like gets him in like a lock.
Sleeper hold.
Like a sleeper hold. And then he lets go and Belzer just like hits the floor.
Yeah.
And the back of his head just like hits the linoleum floor.
He sued him for that.
Yeah.
Well, Belzer was kind of like being like above it all and making fun of wrestling.
Yeah.
And making jokes at their expense.
Maybe they put him in like a...
Well, that's what I think Hulk Hogan has said. He was like, I put a little pressure and I knocked him out.
Yeah.
And he goes out and then he just lets him drop on the floor. And you see him get up and he's like, cut to commercial.
Oh, yeah, there's like a pool of blood on the floor.
Yeah, like he fucking... Yeah, I think he sued him for that.
Yeah.
That's a crazy moment.
Oh, God.
What about Oprah interviewing the Ninja Turtles? Do you remember that one?
It was not Oprah interviewing Ninja. It was Barbara Walters.
Oh, it was Barbara Walters.
And at the end of the interview...
Yeah.
Whatever like mechanism in one of their suits like fails.
Yes.
And it starts like pouring water.
Right.
But the question she asks them is like, so tell me about your mother. And then like Leonardo starts crying.
Right.
And because it's a genuine flub, Barbara Walters just starts laughing at him.
Yeah.
And then they just cut the interview.
Yeah. Because the joke was everyone would cry on her thing.
Yeah.
So they asked about their mother, and then he was supposed to cry, but it was supposed to just drip down, and it's like shooting out of his mask. God, that was weird.
Yeah.
We were talking the other day about Sally Jesse Raphael. I watched that every afternoon. And we were talking about the best ones were the shitty kids that they would send to boot camp.
Yeah.
Or they just have a fucking drill sergeant come out and yell at some child.
Like, what are you doing this to your mama? You treat your mama like that all the time? It's like, yeah, I do. I have sex with as many people as I want. I had sex with 82 men last week.
You get the whole audience to fucking hate this child. Fuck this little kid.
But then, like, by the end of the episode, like, what you gotta say to your mama? It's like, I love you, mama.
Aww. Yeah.
Sally Jesse.
Yeah. God, do you remember when Chevy Chase tried to have a talk show? That was a famous 90s failure.
It's awful.
How many times has ABC tried to counter program?
I mean, they eventually got it right with Jimmy Kimmel.
Got it right, yeah.
But
I remember the Whoopi Goldberg show. I remember the Joan Rivers show.
Yeah.
Which got her banned from The Tonight Show. And
well, that
Leno,
was when she did her Fox show.
Right. And because Johnny Carson was like, now you're my enemy. Because he's a weirdo. And
Meanwhile,
fucking Letterman, and Leno being an asshole was like, well, nah, I suck the fucking dick of Johnny Carson's ghost.
Even though Johnny Carson hated Leno.
Yeah, right. But he wouldn't let her on.
Yeah, what a fucking asshole. Do you remember the second Tom Green show? The one that was like an actual talk show on MTV?
Oh, yeah.
That only lasted like 6 weeks.
Yeah. Because he wasn't... I heard him recently on a podcast, and his first show, the MTV show, the reason so much of that worked was he said like 75% of it was stuff from his public access.
Yeah.
So it's like stuff that they had already worked out and workshopped and like knew worked.
Yeah.
So it was really just presenting all of that shit.
Oh, yeah. Like if you really watch that show, it's just him presenting clips.
Right. But at the time, it was wild. Because that was pre-Jackass.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It was just him like fucking with his parents.
Yeah. And that was when that was unusual.
Yeah.
But, Letterman bring on his mom. Stern would call his parents. Well, you know what? Tom Green brings me to Eric Andre.
Oh, yeah.
Because he really, his talk show, which is really like a post-modern, post-structural deconstruction of a talk show, was great. I mean, there's always how many guests have walked out of that?
Oh my God!
So
many.
Then there was the one where there was some girl from like a reality show where Eric Andre throws up on the desk and then starts like eating his throw up and she runs away. Or there was some young artist, music artist, and like he had a naked guy come out and like
he was like, "Fuck this, I'm not doing it."
Yeah, he like walked out, and he would always end that show by destroying the set.
Yeah.
Which was kind of on the nose metaphor for what he was trying to do.
Yeah, and Hannibal Buress being there was just always great.
Yeah. Oh, I love the bit where they're like, Hannibal Buress tries out different pretzels, and he's like, he takes the rolled gold, and then he takes another one, and then he's like, pretzels is the same. What are we doing here? And then it just freezes on pretzels is the same.
Or like, I love the bits where just anything he does out in the street, where like it's the shot of inside like a coffee house, and like a cop's chasing him inside. He's like, "Get back here! Get back here!" And then he corners them, and then they just start making out. Or like, for no reason, this clip is bookended by like the Seinfeld theme, and it's like the picture of like outside the diner, and then it cuts to inside, and Eric Andre's just like sitting there reading the paper, and a woman comes in and just starts like beating him up, and everyone in the diner's like, whoa, what's going on? And she takes out a bag, and she's like, this is a bag of my real feces, and like just starts throwing shit at him. And then like it cuts, and then like it just freeze frames, and it goes like the Seinfeld theme is like executive produced by Larry Charles and Larry David.
Amazing.
But one of my favorites ever is where someone's going to use the salad bar somewhere.
Yeah.
And he like jumps out of the salad dressed as like a salad man.
Yeah.
And he's like, "Hey, I'm the salad man," or whatever. I can be whatever. Like he's just giving up on the bit. Like Kraft Punk.
You know who would have great interviews? Sacha Baron Cohen.
Yeah.
Remember because people would, back in the day before he was famous, people would believe the characters he was playing.
Yeah.
Remember he had Gore Vidal? And he was like, I'm here with Vidal Sassoon. And Govinda's, no, that's not. Govinda's actually very, like, professorial and, like, like, didn't get mad at him. But he would have on conservatives and he would ask them crazy shit.
You had, like, Newt Gingrich on. And...
Yeah, and they would be, like... It was this thing where, because they thought he was an idiot, they would show a part of themselves.
Yeah, well, even in, like, that new series he did for Showtime.
But yeah.
Like, it's shocking that no one thought that guy he was playing was a fake
he
guy.
got some congressperson to, like, endorse, like...
Off. Oh, yeah, to endorse...
giving babies guns or something.
And then, like, you got the one guy, like, take his pants off.
Yeah. Yeah.
And, like, butt fuck him. Like,
yeah.
You got a bunch of guys to do a Spanish quinceañera.
I you know, other than those little viral clips, I never watched that new show.
It was very hit or miss.
Oh, really?
But, like, there was some good stuff in it. Like, he had one character where it was, like, a super woke person. And he would go to, like, these small towns where it's, like, super red state. And he goes to this one red state. And this is maybe, like, the most revealing one out of all of them to me. Like, he goes to this red state and he calls, like, a town hall. And he had framed it as, like, you guys want infrastructure in this town? Like, yeah, like, I have this big infrastructure project. It's going to bring in thousands of dollars. Would you like, you know, hundreds of thousands of dollars in infrastructure money to come into this town? They're like, yeah, fuck yeah, we want it. And then he, like, takes the sheet off the model, and it's like, we are going to build America's largest mosque in your city. And, like, the whole room just, like, turns on a dime. Like, without even, like, hiding it. Just like, hey, we let those people be here. Like, we tolerate that. Like, we don't like them around here, but we let them stay. Like,
wow. The shit he would get people to say. Remember the first Borat movie? The scene with the fucking frat boys?
Yeah.
Oh, fuck.
Or even in Bruno, Ron Paul.
Yes.
Although to be fair, he did, like, get naked in front of Ron Paul and like that's my one gripe with the Bruno movie.
Yeah,
is that, like, okay, I get it, I get what you're trying to do, but, like, if I'm, like, at my day job, and someone comes up to me and just starts, like, taking off their clothes, and, like, dancing around, I might have a few questions and walk out of the room. Like,
yeah.
And then the Ali G movie is just a whole different thing.
Yeah, it's just an actual
narrative movie.
Yeah.
I used to love watching clips of Squirt TV. Which, I don't know if you remember it. It was a public access show in Manhattan, but then it was picked up by MTV for a season. In like 1996 or 7, I believe. And it was hosted by Jake Fogelnest, who at the time was a teenager.
Oh, yeah.
And basically, the public access show was, he would film it in his bedroom, and he would have, like hit bands, like the Beastie Boys would stop by. He would interview, like, SNL people of the time, like Adam Sandler and Mike Myers. He would have, like, big bands come by.
Yeah.
And then, like, MTV picked it up. It was just this weird, like, original idea of, like, here's a 14-year-old kid, and, like, there's a band in his room.
That's
and,
cool.
like, now what are you going to do about it?
Right.
And
MTV was good in the 90s of, like, finding talent and help. I mean, think about Jackass. You know, they didn't make all correct choices, but they found a lot of, like, pre-internet talent.
Like Beavis and Butthead.
Yeah.
You know who television was great.
Yeah. You know who had really good interviews? And people don't think of this as an interview show. Amy Schumer. She would have one interview in every episode, and she, like, interviewed porn stars. She interviewed transgendered people. She interviewed the creator of Ashley Madison.
Yeah,
and he was like, he came on with his shtick of, like, I'm a fucking creep and I'm all for it, and he immediately starts to get the idea of, like, like, they're against me, but, like, and she's like, why would you do, like, it's really interesting. And the producer, they show in the outtakes during the credits, the producer has him sign the fucking, and then the minute he signs it, she's like, I think you're a fucking demon. that's Jesse Klein, who was the producer.
Yeah.
And what we really found out about that guy was he wasn't a demon. He was just a con artist.
Yeah.
The site was just all men, and all the women were bots and fake accounts.
Oh, totally.
Yeah. Ashley Madison. If you don't remember, Ashley Madison was an online dating site for people for cheating. It was for infidelity. And he was all like, hey, people are going to do it anyway. We're just going to help them.
Yeah.
I'm just all about love. That was a good interview.
Do you remember, every once in a while, Regis and Kathy Lee would get an interview, and like Regis would be so out of touch that it would like morph into a good interview.
Really?
Like when he had the Ramones on.
Oh, I never saw Regis with the Ramones.
Oh, it's great. He's like, you remember? Like then it becomes like the Chris Farley show.
Yeah, yeah.
It's like, remember when you guys invented punk music? It's like, yeah, we remember. It's like, yeah. Why don't you talk a little about that?
What year is this you're talking about?
Mid-90s.
Oh, wow.
So probably like their last tour. But
do you remember when you invented punk music?
Well, my favorite is a couple of years ago when they like put out an album after like 20 years or whatever. Devo were doing a little press tour.
Yeah.
And they were on Regis and Kelly. And Regis is wearing like the Devo hat and everything.
Yeah.
He's like, do you guys remember when you had that song Whip It? And they're like, yeah, we remember. Like, you think you could play it for us? And like, yeah, I think we could play it for you. And then after the song, he's like, so tell me, what is this de-evolution thing? He's like, and they explain what de-evolution is, and Regis just like, so do you think it's ever really going to happen? And they're just like very calmly like, oh, it happened already. Like, we lived through it. Like,
right.
Like,
that's our whole thesis.
Yeah.
I can never get into him. I liked Rosie O'Donnell. I liked her daytime show. A lot of people like Ellen. I'm not into Ellen, but a lot of people like Ellen.
Ellen, I can't get into the whole, like, we're going to dance and, like...
I like the bit she does where she scares people.
Yeah.
But Eric Andre does that, too. But somehow...
Exactly.
It's... Oh, Eric Andre had this bit where, like, she has the thing where someone will pop out of the coffee table.
Yeah.
But Eric Andre had this bit where this guy, this creepy guy with, like...
he pops out of the floorboard?
No, he pops out of the desk.
Oh, yeah.
Eric Andre's desk. And then... he's got on Jack McBrayer from 30 Rock, and Jack McBraer's talking about God knows what, and then this creepy bald head pops out of the desk and he goes, how about those deals, Jack? And Jack McBrayer jumps back in fear, and then Eric Andre's like, yeah, how about those deals? This has been Pop Culture Man Children. I hope this was a good episode. We were just bullshitting about interviews. Check some of this stuff out on...
Do it.
YouTube. You'll love it.
You've got YouTube.
Yeah, go ahead and look up some old people. We didn't
look up old people.
No, I mean look up some people that aren't around anymore. Like there's a great, really charming old interview with the original Letterman show where he interviewed Mel Blanc. And
oh yeah.
Mel Blanc does what you want him to do. He's just a sweet old man, and he's like he does the Bugs Bunny voice. He does the Daffy Duck voice.
He gets it. He's not Alec Guinness. He's like, you know what? This is what
he's like. Yeah, I'm the voice of Bugs Bunny. I'm here. I'm going to give you Bugs Bunny.
People want to love me.
Yeah.
I'm going to let the people love me.
Yeah. Like, look up old people like that, old movie stars. It's so great. Vin, thanks for being here.
Yeah.
Thanks for being on PCMC once again. Thanks for bringing your knowledge.
I will, yeah.
This is Pop Culture Man Children with I hear the kids are calling PCMC. I don't know about you.
The kids
I should do it like Trump does it, where he introduces ideas pretending like they're a thing that he hasn't introduced. Like, I'm hearing people say PCMC. I don't know, Vin. I'm hearing people say it.
I'm hearing it. Someone told me. I was talking the other day.
I'm hearing people say PCMC. PCMC. Hashtag PCMC pod. You can find Pop Culture Man Children anywhere podcasts are available. You can follow at Pop Culture Man Children on Instagram. That's all one word, Pop Culture Man Children. Vin, where are you on?
On the Twitter at Mighty Vin.
Mighty Vin.
And yeah, that's about it. And there might be some projects coming in the works soon, so maybe look out for those. I'll be on again next month.
Sure. We'll get an update on what you're doing. All right, everybody. It's been a great show. Go bye-bye.